cafe anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 2182, 2182. It's Mike Matthews. I'm in a little bit better mood today because it's Mike's Daily Podcast. And, well, people have said some stupid things, and then some people said other things, and then there was this moment of calmness, and I started to sing this wonderful song that I sing in front of every podcast, and people go, wow, Mike, you have lasted a long time doing your podcast. 2182. Mike's Daily Podcast. 2,182 episodes as of this moment. Mike's So Daily. That's all I had. Podcast. So far in this part. Yeah. The singing part. That, and I said goodbye to my Saturn view. Yes, I had a Saturn. One of the last people in the planet Earth to have a Saturn. Wait, that was an odd sentence. Because I mixed in two planets there. Yes, so we are now parted. My Saturn view of 13 years. Purchased it in Huntsville, Alabama from a Saturn dealer. And I remember at the time, the guy that sold it to me, his name was something Care. Jim Care, I think. Isn't that the lead singer of Simple Minds? His name was similar to that. And he said, hey, if you refer anybody to me and they buy a car from me, I'll give you $50. And that was my foray into Huntsville, Alabama. You could make $50 conning your friends into buying cars from this guy. Well, actually, he was a nice guy, but then the Saturn dealership disappeared, as all Saturns did. But he and I remember he hit me up for concert tickets because I was working at a country station called The Wolf. I talked about that in a previous podcast.
And here's today's podcast picture.
So you got to go back and find that somewhere. Hey, the podcast picture today is of kind of a country-esque landscape. A cow. An interrupting cow. Moo! He is standing there amongst the green grass, the pastoral view from Fairmont Ridge, in this picture taken 6 years ago. I have now lived in the Bay Area for 11 years, over 11 years. Except for the traffic and the high cost of living, I'm fine with living here. I enjoy it. And Basil the Boxer was there with me, the late great Basil the Boxer. He and I used to go to Fairmont Ridge all the time. He chased the cow a couple times, but just playfully. He didn't annoy the cow. The cow just kind of looked at him and he went, oh, I'm out of here, and I'm yelling at him. Basil, come back. The thing is that the last show is called Doe, and I didn't even do my Homer impression. Doe. That was terrible. I can't get into the mood right now. It's not in me to be Homer Simpson. Doe. That was a little bit better. Here at Cafe Anyway, we're trying to be in a partisan mood, trying to get along with each other politically, trying to understand each other, trying to feel a sense of calm, standing at least 20 feet apart from each other. I've got my mask on over my eyes. Am I doing this wrong? I'm blindfolded. So sad that we can't see each other smile. A lot of people that were in that group that stormed the Capitol yesterday decided not to wear masks. I was actually shocked how many did have masks. I thought that group was so anti-mask. Anti-maska. But not Antifa. So, oh my God. Okay, I have to preface this. So, what I'm about to say does not in any way reflect how anybody that I work for feels. Or practically anybody that I know feels. But here's how I feel, yo. That, and I threw a yo at you, and I meant to throw another yo. And then what happened? I'm listening to the conservative talk radio hosts. And one guy who was he's been a lawyer for Trump, helped defend him during the impeachment process. He said this was reprehensible, what happened, the people busting into the Capitol. Said that they were insurrectionists, said that they were, that what they did was actually caused more harm to what Trump followers had wanted, and that was the electoral votes to get, well, at least debated. And there was no debate because they shut down Congress, the Capitol, and had to clear everything, fix everything, and then they picked it up again, and now they're debating it on the overnight. Oh, and by the way, you rioters, you insurrectionists, you scared off a lot of the Republicans that were going to stand for your cause. They said, nope, I'm done. I see the true colors of these people. And so now, when all that happened, when all of it went bad, and this lawyer, by the way, said that there was no Antifa. No Antifa. QAnon maybe, but no Antifa. So just stop passing the blame. So this guy is smart. He's a lawyer. He knows that. He's occasionally, most of the time I disagree with him, but occasionally he will say something that is based in legal fact. And he's got to watch his P's and Q's because he's a lawyer and he doesn't want to get disbarred. But then you get to the conservative talk show hosts on the radio. And as someone who has been in radio for over 35 years, I can tell you that, yeah, this year will be 35. Dang. Radio people don't got any expertise whatsoever. All they're good at is at talking and carrying on a sentence long enough so that you will not turn off the radio. As we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. That's all they're good at, is the gift of gab. They can talk. And here's what I've noticed, because I started off as a music DJ. Every program director I had screamed at me, you got to keep it short, bright and tight, get to the point. Some program directors would have a timer. As soon as you turned on the microphone, the timer would go off. You had 10 seconds. If you went past 10 seconds and the mic was still on, these sirens would go off. These these lights would flash in your eyes. I didn't actually see this, but supposedly Scott Shannon in New York did this. So I was told, keep it short and sweet. Then I started podcasting, and I'm like, ooh, I can talk a lot. I don't have any listeners, but I can talk a lot. It's awesome. You can talk. Try it. Talk a lot. Gab it up. And so then back to, speaking of Gab, isn't that the place that a lot of people go to that are with QAnon and all that? I don't know. I haven't checked it out. Cafe, I don't know. As we're outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley. And yes, so I then say to you that these radio talk show hosts, all they're good at is yip-yapping. They have no expertise. They don't know what's going on. They may be political, but there's no brilliance behind it. They're just talking to entertain. And I heard three guys. I listened to three guys today, and all of them. One guy said Antifa. That's what caused what happened yesterday to happen, or January 6th, whenever you're listening to this, the horrible, horrible January 6th. Or it was the other guy said, he defended the people that stormed. This is the same guy I was talking about yesterday. He defended the people that vandalized our Capitol, our sacrosanct Capitol. By saying that it belongs to the people can go in and destroy it if they want. No! If we're in a banana republic, yeah, but what about all those ideals about democracy that you're always wrapping yourself in the flag and Constitution. And why are you now defending the defacing of all of that? It's ridiculous. Oh, and then he goes, those people that stormed the Capitol weren't insurrectionists. They weren't committing insurrection. They were just protesting. By the way, and then he equated the protest yesterday, which was far beyond a protest, with what was happening in the cities. The riots that were happening in the cities. Yeah, well, neither is good. I don't like setting anything on fire. I think that's ridiculous. It's counterproductive. I don't like I don't like it when people make statements that way. I understand the frustration, but frick. It's just, you're destroying something that someone spent a lot of time. So anyway, he's trying to defend what happened yesterday was it any worse than what was happening in the cities? Those poor people that were trying to. And then I heard another talk show host who's very smart, and he's got actually some. I think he said it well when he said that this has to do with a lot of people being upset with how things are economically, how we are as a society, as we are being shut down over and over again, and how life has not seemed to be normal for a long time. And this is he pointed out, I think he did an interview with Jim Baker years ago after 9/11. I guess it was shortly after 9/11. And he said, and this guy was a politician, worked for the government, said, you won't have terrorism if people are happy economically, if they're financially happy, if they're so happy and sitting at home enjoying their bonbons and watching their Netflix. They're too busy to go out and fly a plane into a building or deface the Capitol or do whatever. I mean, people yesterday had Molotov cocktails. There was pipe bombs. It was a bad situation. Now, should Ashley Babbitt gotten shot and killed? No. That's terrible. But there's a lot more behind Ashley Babbitt than just, it was some protester that was killed. No. There was a lot going on. That she had basically, her family said she had been radicalized, that she was so into QAnon. She's wearing a t-shirt on Twitter saying, "We are QAnon." She is, but the interesting thing is one of her last tweets was that she's going to try to bring dark to light by coming to Washington. She was afraid that she wouldn't get to be at the rally that Trump did yesterday because she thought her plane was going to get canceled, her flight. So that's all. And then, but then we have our president do a video tweet. Everything happening on Twitter, right? Boy, all of this. And Twitter shut down Trump's account for a while because of what he had been saying and what happened. Quickly, speaking of tweets, Ashley Babbitt had tweeted earlier in the day yesterday that Mike Pence should be charged with treason, or had reposted someone that had said that. So, yes, she definitely was not with Antifa. She was now, however, standing next to her was a guy from Utah who apparently had a history of organizing violent Antifa, Black Lives Matter protests. He was near where it happened. He actually videotaped the killing, and he has tweeted many, many things where he is not happy with Trump. So what he was doing there yesterday is very interesting. I don't hang out with mobs. I try to avoid those as much as possible, but to say that the entire mob was Antifa is ridiculous. This guy just happened to be there. His name is John Sullivan, and I'm sure we'll hear more about him as time goes on. But yes, so Trump finally did a video tweet where he conceded. Oh, like that was ever going to happen. I am shocked he did it. I didn't think that was ever going to happen, but he did it finally. Possibly because somebody died or 4 people died. Possibly because Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer were threatening to impeach him yet again. And that would have been a double impeachment, and no president has been impeached twice. Or so the news article said that I was reading. And then he said, a peaceful transition is what he wanted to do. That's impeached also spells out I'm a peach or I'm peachment. Just pointing that out for whatever reason. I worked for a guy named Mark for 11 years. Mark sadly passed away of prostate cancer not a couple years ago. Mark was a strong fan of my advocate, I would say a supporter of my creativity and what I should do. You know, I should be creative and give whatever creative gifts I have to radio. My whole thing that kept me in radio for years is that I was going to try and make radio better. Make it sound better, add something to it. I wanted to add something to that space, as they say. And that's why I do this kind of an odd podcast. I'm standing outside of Cafe Anyway, and we're going to talk to a couple of Cafe Anyway characters in a moment. So Mark, however, would repeat the same story over and over again, and he was pretty liberal. Oh, and by the way, one of the talk show hosts that was saying it was Antifa, he said that it was the left that caused what happened yesterday. Does that make your head spin around or what? Oh yeah, the left organized it. And it's probably because he read about this John Sullivan guy. But no, any idiot can see the writing on the wall on what happened. Even the president saw what happened, and that's why he finally conceded. And that tomorrow, that radio talk show host will be on the air yet again. And he will probably be on that network for years and years to come. Why? Well, that's the very thing he said today. The shock and awe is what he did. The shocking comment is what will keep him on the air, and that's why he keeps doing it, and it's just ridiculous. And people should be held responsible. And the whole saying Antifa thing yesterday was a bunch of people not taking responsibility for what happened and saying, that's not my party. Well, yeah, it was your party that did that. People that voted for your party did that yesterday. And you know what? It's a day of reckoning, and it's time to fix that. The first thing out of their mouths should have been, we have to fix it.
I didn't understand that.
Let me say that again, Bixby. It said I didn't understand that. Bixby is with QAnon. That's odd. But no, the first thing out of their mouths should have been, we need to fix this. Not, that was Antifa yesterday. That was the left. Blame the left. Anyways, so our president finally conceded, and I think it was because of all of this pressure, and finally something came to an end today. And I think a lot of people, there is a day of reckoning for these people that have been huge supporters of Trump and supported him and did all their pretzel logic to explain what he was saying and what people were doing in his name. And it'll be interesting to see what they say tomorrow. They'll probably just say, oh yeah, Trump knew this was all, he was going to do this anyway. Right. So in summation, be careful what I am telling you. There's so much bizarreness to believe in this world. And it is so easy to be radicalized and so easy to just get caught up in something. If you are getting on a plane and flying all the way to our capital to be part of a riot, to be part of some protest, think about it. Are you going to be part of the huge gathering that happened with Martin Luther King in the 60s that it's immortalized now. If you go to the Lincoln Monument and the steps there, you can see this is exactly where Martin Luther King stood. Martin Luther King Jr. and gave his speech, I Have a Dream Today. Are you part of a movement like that? Or are you part of a movement of something that happened yesterday? Think about what it is that you stand for. You have to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. Great song from John Mellencamp off of his Scarecrow album. Great album, Scarecrow, by the way. But that's either here nor there, anywhere. John Mellencamp. And never say cougar. Unless you like older women. Just kidding. What the heck? How did that get started? Was that that has something to do with leopard print? I've known a lot of women that like rock music that love to wear leopard print. I went to the Brian Setzer wedding when he got married to someone named Christine. That's his second wife, I think. I knew Christine. My mom's good friend from way back was Christine's mom. So we got to go to the wedding, my mom and I. There was leopard print everywhere. There was leopard print on the ramp, on the walking carpet that went down to the arch? They call that a hopa, something like that. The little with the flowers on the arch. And there was Brian Setzer walking down to the altar. Basically, it was outside in Altadena, I think it was. They have since gotten divorced, but I think they had 2 kids together. But yes, I loved John Mellencamp. Don't know how I got onto... Oh, cougar. Right. Leopard print. Who knows? Anywho, look who's outside a cafe anyway. Somewhere in Podcastro Valley. The last place on earth. Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, the chef supervisor. I don't like leopard print. No, why not? It makes me look like Tarzan. You'd look more like Jane. If Jane were a redhead. Was Jane a redhead? I don't know. Yeah, Mike Matthews, I have red hair. It's true. Look who else is here. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, wow, a lot of political talk lately on your show. I know I should talk more about donuts. Delicious donuts. Ow! Still can't do it. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. You can tell me what you think about all this craziness. 336mm daily. 3 plus 3 equals 6. MM as in Mike Matthews daily, as in what this podcast has been now for quite a few days. But the times have warranted it. Yes. Take it away, Frame.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!